What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Takeover with your girl, Shay McCray, here on FUBU Radio. And y'all know it's Monday and what time it is, and we are inside the room with my bro, State Representative Brandon McGee. What's up, Brandon?
What's going on? What's going on? It feels like it's been like several weeks since
I know.
Sitting here versus guests and all of that other stuff. But I'm so glad we're back on another Monday. Inside the room with myself, State Representative Brandon McGee, where we bring, or rather we discuss, politics, leadership, and culture, and a little bit of gossip. So I'm definitely excited, for this week. Not much of a real schedule, but we want to update folks on what's going on.
Yes. There's a lot going on too.
Folks getting real loose with not wearing masks. I just got me a new mask too, by the way. Not wearing masks and, COVID in folks' mind is like gone. So, I mean, what's good? What are you hearing down there?
Oh, you talking about your new mask. Well, I'm not sure if you're aware that was hitting. We wasn't here last week, but that's Dr. Fauci. It looked like some of his emails were exposed, or it looked like hacked or something. And apparently they were trending saying that he responded to a young lady about whether or not should she wear masks. And this was earlier in the beginning of February. And he responded by stating, and I quote, and let me make sure I quote this well, because it is kind of weird based on what he was saying. I kind of get where he was coming from.
Tell us what he was saying so folks will know.
Well, what he was saying is that, the mask is to prevent from those who have the virus from spreading it, not from those who are not infected from getting it. Also, the masks that we buy from the drugstore are not effective with preventing from us catching the virus. However, we know this. We know the cloth mask does not do that. We knew all this. I think this was studies people showed that the mask wasn't preventing you from catching it, but it was preventing you from spreading it.
Spreading, right.
Yes. So
I kind of feel like this, Shay, like a lot of the people, like anti-maskers, if you would, they've been looking for proof, to kind of, I got you, Dr. Fauci.
Yeah.
And I'm not for or against the man. I am based on science and research, and I agree with you. It was very clear early on that these masks were just to prevent the spreading, but we all took the extra precaution in wearing it. And in some cases, you could see that it helped for the most part. But what's the sticking point in all of this? Why do folks feel like he lied?
Well, I guess one of the things is that, I don't know, they felt like he came out of nowhere with all this. Who gave him the COVID, like trophy, like, hey, you're expert at this. So there were a lot of questions back on in reference to this, even with just the vaccination, we got, how it came up so fast. How did they create this?
So I'm looking at a few sources, and it says the Freedom of Information Act request was filed by several news outlets, thousands of Fauci's personal and work emails from early as March 2020. So really when the pandemic kicked off. And on Twitter, it was hashtag Fauci leaks and Fauci gates or gate were trending. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting about this was there were no emails actually leaked. They were obtained through access granted under federal law.
Oh.
And so that's where all of this sort of took shape, and folks started to create their own sort of perception and notion as to what actually happened. So this is very interesting. And to your earlier point, we deemed Mr. Fauci as like the guy. Well, some people did.
Yes, they did.
Like he knew everything.
Yeah.
And you and I both know on Instagram, there's this running joke about CDC because it seems like CDC always coming up with something.
Always.
But this is very interesting. We should probably follow this a little bit more to see where it goes. But I'm interested and seeing how states are coming back from COVID and all of the restrictions.
Oh, they wide open. They wide open. I've been traveling. But as we talking about the CDC, remember they even mentioned one mask would not prevent you from catching the virus. Remember they
I was wearing two. It's crazy. This is crazy.
This is very crazy.
I don't know, Shay. I'm still going to wear my mask. Usually when I get obviously to restaurants, etc., I would take my mask off. But I think as an extra precaution, and I could be wrong. I mean, I'm vaccinated. People are still, by the way, getting sick. All right, having taken the vaccine. Not as sick as some of some of.
Oh, y'all say I don't know. I'm just not with it. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you.
But you're still healthy though. You're still healthy.
Very healthy, and my acne has been bothering me. So no, I do not wear masks no more. If they say I don't have to wear it when I walk in, no more. Yes, I'm telling it how it is. Only in the bank, in the airport. That's it. Well,
you got me.
I got you.
Yes. I am convinced. I'm still down 50-50 within this vaccination conversation, but I don't know. I'm going to continue to follow this. I know there are a lot of Trumpsters, if you would, who are still sort of supporting the rhetoric. And this is my view, not FUBU Radio. This is sort of my own voice here. So don't y'all go clapping back at FUBU Radio. Y'all can clap back at me. Because I know we do have a following of folks who are Republicans, Independents, Democrats, etc. And we just want to, here inside the room, provide you with information so that you can better educate yourself on it. But Shay, I don't think this is the end.
No, this is not the end. Well, we got more to talk about because there's a lot more going on in the world. So you guys keep it locked. Don't go nowhere. All right. It's your girl, Shay McCray. Welcome back to the Takeover with your girl, Shay McCray and Brandon McGee. What's up, Brandon?
What up? What's up? Well, I haven't done this in a while. Y'all make sure y'all follow me. Please on Twitter, at Rep B McGee. That's MCGEE. Also on Instagram, InstaWorld _BLMJ_. Y'all follow me. Help me get my numbers up, y'all. But most importantly, I want you to stay tuned into all of the information that we're bringing you. Wait, Shay, I forgot about Spotify, YouTube.
Oh, wow. I forgot you fancy.
Well, I got to get my numbers up. Folks are listening in on Spotify, which I'm really encouraged by that. But I got to get my YouTube numbers up. There's a lot of information out there, y'all. So follow me. All you have to do is type in Inside the Room, and it'll automatically pop up, and we're there.
Wow. That's what's up. Well, I know you out there. I saw you was in the courthouse or something on Saturday. What was you doing? What's going on?
So this Saturday, I needed a break. So we're in the final stretch of our legislative session here in the General Assembly in Connecticut. Similar to other places throughout the country, many of your state legislators, as well as your federal folks, are debating important policies. As you know, many of our states were shut down for a year and we're now opening back up. However, there are still Black and Brown communities that are still feeling the after effects of coronavirus.
Yes.
Job loss,
yes,
disparities,
yes,
housing, you name it. And some of the policy recommendations that came out of that, Shay, were really, really phenomenal. And I've had the opportunity to be the champion in leading the legislation through the House of Representatives here in Connecticut. Two in particular, the right to counsel. And it's really simple. It ain't nothing fancy. It is every person who unfortunately does not have the financial means should have a right to legal representation.
Yes.
And so the right to counsel legislation represents a meaningful step toward combating mass evictions. Okay, literally, folks were put out of their homes, y'all.
Already?
Yes. And obviously, these are landlords and developers who are not abiding by the law because there is a moratorium on evictions, meaning
yes,
we stopped all evictions We've also extended the deadline here in the state of Connecticut, and I think in other states as well.
Yeah, it's like June 30th, right?
That's right. That's right. And so one of the things that I wanted to do is to ensure that we have the financial resources to scale up on programs like the Right to Counsel, which I believe we are number 3 or 4 in the nation to establish this program. And so hopefully the goal is to reduce the number of evictions by 77%, with more tenants winning the fight to stay in their homes. And I think the other piece is important, Shay, because automatically people assume you're getting evicted because of lack of payment, right? That's not true in some cases. In most cases, there's a disagreement with the There's a disagreement with the landlord in some of our smaller 2-family, 3-family properties. Landlords, they want them out. Also, during the pandemic, this was an opportunity for landlords in some cases to get some of their unwanted tenants out. Just get out. We don't want you here.
Wow.
And in the state of Connecticut, we got a lot of New Yorkers coming in, buying up many of these box sort of apartments. And as long as they're getting their Section 8, they don't care. Our folks are living in some really, really harsh conditions.
Yes.
And, you know, it's all connected because you have many of the tenants fighting back saying, look, I shouldn't have to live this way. Why am I living this way? Why am I subjected to lead and mold, black mold, rodents? It's crazy. So anyway, the Right to Counsel is something that I'm really excited about, and I hope other states would jump right on in to help out with this.
The only thing is that I know you're saying it's not always due to lack of due to non-payment, or even with the conditions you're saying. Now, it could be even the landlord might not even have the funding to fix these things. So I know we're here for the tenant, but for those who are not paying rent due to non-payment, you know, what about for the landlord for that? Like, what, you know, there should be a backbone for them too, or some form of assistance, because I know people that they're good landlords and haven't received rent in 2 years, you know? So what about the assistance to that?
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought it up, because during the debate on the floor of the House, that was some of the concerns. Brandon, you're talking about the tenants. That's good. We support that. We have good landlords, as you've already said. And so what we did was we established additional dollars for our housing specialists that are in the courtroom. And so they are the attorneys that help to negotiate, make sure the landlord, you know, gets what he or she deserves, and the tenant gets what they need. So there are also funds available for landlords as well. But this program is specifically to guarantee legal representation that will be provided by a nonprofit legal service provider with the expertise in housing law. And you have to be eligible. You can't just jump in, you know, and be like, oh, I need some money. To fight this attorney. So and then the other piece, real quickly, we know that coronavirus really shed a bright light on the disparities in Black and brown communities. Access to housing, healthcare, education system, Wi-Fi, I can go on. And what I thought was really important is that we sounded the alarm on racism. And we wanted folks to know that racism is a public health crisis. And so beyond the declaration of declaring racism as a public health, we established a committee, a commission, as we call it, that will focus solely on studying racial health disparities in Connecticut. So we'll look at housing practices and policies, Department of Correction, Department of Labor, energy, environment, just to name a few. And what we want is basically a comprehensive plan that will help many of our commissioners and our governor to better understand the impacts these types of policies have had on Black and brown people specifically in the state of Connecticut. And, you know, we know racism is deeply embedded in our systems, policies, and culture. However, this particular measure helped us to display Connecticut's commitment to equity. And so I'm really happy that the governor, our speaker, and others chimed in. But I got to tell you, there were a few people, all right, and I'm going to leave all names out and parties, who believe that racism does not exist. And even when I talk about it, Shay, I get so fired up because I'm like, yo, are you kidding me? You are telling me that you don't believe racism exists and that all men were created equal. I'm sorry. When they developed or established the Declaration of Independence, they were all white men. And as a matter of fact, they didn't even include Black people because we weren't considered humans. So anyway, I digress.
So were these your people? Were these your people?
No.
Okay. I was just making sure because we got a couple of those too.
We still have them.
Okay.
But this particular person made it all the way up to Fox News, as a matter of fact, and they were applauding her, all this stuff, and it was just disheartening. But I'm glad we were able to pass it. We're funding it, and hopefully I can come back to Inside the Room and share some of the outcomes from it.
Well, I can't wait because there's a lot of stuff going on. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to talk about, because I just don't understand the shootings that are still going on right now. Okay.
Shootings, nooses.
And then I want to talk about what the Texas new gun laws is as well. Okay. You guys keep it locked. Don't go nowhere. It's your girl, Shay McCray.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back. I don't even know how to clean it up.
You got it. Welcome back to the Takeover with State Representative Brandon McGee. I put him on the spot, y'all, so don't mind him.
Look, we're gonna keep this, and I want to do it over. What's up, y'all? What's up? Welcome back to Inside the Room with your boys, State Representative Brandon McGee and Shay McCray of the Takeover. We're so glad that you all have joined us and stuck with us. We've talked a little bit about Dr. Fauci and his little clap back, if you would, on the emails, the Fauci gate, they're calling it on Twitter. But it's really in regards to the face mask. And we talked a lot about COVID and its impact on our state and people of color. And I kind of want to jump into this whole shooting spree, Shay, that's happened out there in Chicago.
Yes. Well, let me just back up. Dr. Fauci's emails being out is one of the reasons why I do not text a lot of things. If you didn't write it, I didn't say it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
That's why I don't write down. That's your proof.
Stop calling that man Fauci. It's Fauci.
Okay. That part. So I think he has a new name, Fauci. Okay. Now let me quit.
False reports. But no, you're right. So there's one thing that they tell us here in the legislature. If you don't want it on the front page of the newspaper, you better not write it. If you're okay with it, so fine, so be it.
Yep.
What you need to do. But I'm with you on that. But a lot of my emails, especially my state account, is FOIable, freedom of information.
Right.
And folks can get whatever it is that they want. So I say use your own personal emails, but clearly as a federal agent, there's nothing personal.
Nothing personal. So with that being said, I want to talk about the shootings. How have they been increasing? This is crazy. 58 shootings in Chicago over the weekend. Atlanta, it was 21 over the weekend. I'm confused on what is really going on right now. What are people thinking, Brandon? Like, people are starting to come out of this pandemic. Like you said, the funding has stopped for unemployment. The funding has stopped for food stamps. People are being more exposed now because they're suffering right now. What is going on with the mentality of the people?
Honestly, I wish I had a solid response to this. I mean, mass shootings in Chicago, Portland, Miami-Dade, Atlanta. You could talk about Hartford, perhaps not mass shootings, but like it's shooting. I don't know. I mean, one might say, mental health. One might say street gangs. Another, I think it's all of the above, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And a lot of this has been happening even before COVID. And so I just, I know a lot.
It happened before COVID, but for some reason, are we paying attention? Yeah, or are we just really paying that close attention to it and it was more noticeable? You know what I mean?
I think that could be an answer as well.
Well,
I do think poverty has a lot. It's the underlying sort of denominator, if you would, that aids this whole hopelessness attitude and this "I don't care" approach. You know, why are young people fighting over a curb that you don't own and you don't pay taxes on? Like, I don't understand it. Right? I do remember gangs growing up, but they weren't fighting over streets. They were fighting on the streets, but it's just like I don't know.
I know you talked about poverty. Do you think the gun laws, like what just Texas just passed? I know you have that pulled up. You can go ahead and read that off. Do you think them pushing, in my opinion, just I'm speaking in my language, they pushing the guns out on the streets right now?
No, but that's real talk. Shay, think about it. Early, maybe late 60s, 70s, and even 80s, folks were putting guns on the street as well as drugs in certain communities, right? So I don't think any of this is new, but in response to what Texas is doing, which is crazy, not performing background checks on individuals who are purchasing guns. We ain't even talking about mental health.
I was just about to say, we're not even talking about mental health. You don't even know what state of mind they're in when they get there.
But at least I can speak for Connecticut, okay? Our background check procedures in Connecticut are basically, we're considered a point of contact state for the National Instant Criminal Background Check System, which is NICS database. What does that mean? It simply means if I'm going to a gun shop, okay, and I'm going to purchase that gun store can then use that National Criminal Background Check database to check to see if I am legit enough, just using that word, to obtain that firearm. Texas, on the other hand, is doing without all of that if the bill passed already, and they're allowing for people to literally go purchase guns. Which is
some states they're only doing state level checks, right?
Yes, you're right. And I heard an officer, not here in Connecticut, but he was saying a lot of these guns that are getting into the hands of these young people, they're coming from out of like different communities. Yeah. And these young people are literally buying these guns, don't know what to do with it, not properly storing them. And this is what we're having. Yeah,
as soon as you turn 18, my son did it. My son purchased a gun. As soon as he turned 18, I was heated. I'm not going to lie. I made him return the gun. He paid me back half the money. But I did.
So wait, before you say that, because people do listen to our show, and I want folks to know we're not I believe it's the Second Amendment right.
Yes.
We want people to have their firearms. We just want you to be responsible. We want you to store them. I have my gun license. As a matter of fact, one of my good fraternity brothers just opened up the first Black firearm store here in the state of Connecticut, and I plan on going to go get my firearm. But I also know that there are a lot of irresponsible people getting these guns.
Yes.
And it's not.
It's so funny you say that, because that was his reasoning for buying it. He was exercising his constitutional rights. And I was like, well, you don't have nothing to protect. So what are you protecting? Because all this is mine.
Listen, he is literally protecting himself, and let him live. As long as he's going through the training and he understands the importance of safely storing that gun.
Yes.
And he's educated on it.
Yes, I can say in his defense now, he is a vet. He went into the Army. He is a professional with the firearm. But
thank you for serving, my friend.
But at the time, like you said, it was an irresponsible person going to make a purchase based on what he felt like is right. Didn't have a license, so technically you carried the gun illegal. You brought the gun in my home illegally. So there are a lot of things that played, and I had to explain that to him what he did wrong. Now, when you do it right, I don't have a problem. He has 3 or 4 guns now.
Well, He's also served this country, so I'm good. I'm good with him.
So I'm okay with that. But the point is, like you said, I'm more, it's not even the background I'm more concerned about. It's more of a mental health issue that I'm more concerned about,
Right.
with them going in and just able to purchase these guns, because a lot of times when people go on rants, it's a mental health issue, not oh, I could go buy a gun issue. People that's easily could go buy a gun is not the ones that's shooting off and doing these and shooting going in the crowds and shooting off on people. No, these are people typically with a mental health issue, and we're not. And maybe it should be a psych test before you even purchase a gun. There needs to be some form of filter before you are able to obtain a gun.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
I know I usually do all the wonky political talk here. But one of the things that we've done in Connecticut, and we're working with a few other states, is establishing an anti-gun violence commission that would help us to study the behaviors of people.
Yes.
Who, just unfortunately find themselves, to your point, shooting up folks in mass crowds, maybe violence on the street. What is attributing to that behavior?
Exactly.
And figure it out. But before we gotta go. Connecticut has been on every single news outlet in response to this noose, a noose that's been found at one of the construction sites, Amazon construction site here in the state of Connecticut. And FYI, just to kind of give you a visual, this Amazon site is probably the size of about 8 football fields, okay? Massive sites. So thank you, Amazon, for the jobs. However, they found up to about 8 nooses on the site. And I remember when the reporters called me, they wanted me to give a response on it. And of course I got frustrated because I'm like, what in the hell you want me to do about a noose? But I quickly stepped back and I said, you know what? I don't condone any of this foolishness. It's not good, but we also need to take this very seriously because things have been happening. And by the way, in the 21st century, folks they've been hung on trees.
Yes, they have.
People don't want to talk about that. But I do, I commend the police chief there. The FBI they've been involved. But I think it's been an inside job. Okay. I think there have been some folks who were pissed off because folks were let go from the construction site during the pandemic. We had folks from Texas, from Georgia, from Massachusetts, and other places. All right. So can you imagine picking up your stuff, going on a job, and then they're telling you, okay, we're good. And so you had non-union and union, and you can only imagine the conversations that were happening on the ground level there. I'm not pointing any fingers, but one could deduce that you have some angry folk, and I'll leave it at that.
I thought Amazon was one of the ones that employed quite a bit of people during the pandemic.
They did, but not necessarily new construction sites.
Okay,
so I think the goal was to get this site up and running, and then they could hire, 8,000 people. That's an ambiguous number, y'all, so don't hold me to it. But a lot of folk, and so I don't know where we are at the moment. The state's attorney's office, at my request, they're involved in this. And we're really trying to see what's going on. Lastly, nooses on construction sites in the state of Connecticut is not new. Okay, it's a reoccurring theme that's been happening on a lot of construction sites. One might suggest, and this is my assumption, there's always been a fight for Black and brown construction workers to just have equal pay. An opportunity to be at the top at the construction sites, to allow our Black and brown women to be respected, okay, on a construction site and not limited to just carrying a bag. So we can really unpack this, but I just want folks to know in the state of Connecticut what's happening with these latest sort of rounds of nasty acts of violence, if you ask me.
Well, Brandon, I will say this. I know you out there saving the world. Just please be careful. out there. We are out there. You know, you're very well known in your city, and you're speaking upon these things. So you don't want to be a target to this. So please, you know, I just wish you well, and I appreciate all that you do while you're out there. Let them know how they can keep up with you and YouTube, because we gotta get those numbers up for my boy.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, first of all, we're gonna keep the beginning of this last drop because I want folks to know that we do have fun. But lastly, y'all follow me. Follow me on Instagram _BLMJ. Also on YouTube, Spotify, and of course, y'all have to be a part of the Twitter game. I mean, some of the conversations on Twitter, especially Black Twitter, Shay, is something else. But y'all follow me on Twitter as well, at Rep B McGee. And until next time, y'all continue to love each other. I'll continue to love you, and I'll see you next week at 4:00.
Is that why Trump is wanting to go back to Twitter? Because of Black Twitter?
Look, because of everybody. By the way, Facebook suspended him another 2 years.
Yes, I saw that. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Y'all make sure I go follow him. Keep it locked. Don't go nowhere. It's your girl, Shay McCray.